Hey there, and welcome to today's video, where I'm going to be talking about setting up guest post authors properly on your WordPress website, avoiding hidden mistakes. My name is Ashley Pierce. I'm a blogger and an SEO agency owner where we help creators navigate the somewhat technical and complicated world of SEO to achieve their traffic and audience growth goals. So I was in a number of Facebook groups over the past couple of weeks where I had a common theme and question coming through, which could really be boiled down into how should I post a guest author's article on my WordPress website? Now, the question was more about the technical side of things rather than how do I format the article. So I kind of dove into the question a little bit after seeing some other people's responses as well. So a few solutions that were suggested before I managed to get there and sort of make my suggestion was I just put their name and intro at the top or bottom of the article and publish as normal. I get them to send me their bio and insert it as a block at the bottom of their article. I don't give anyone else access to my WordPress website, so I just publish as normal and mention it was written by someone else. These are paraphrased examples, but fundamentally all of them have a very similar theme going on in that there's not a lot that technically changes in their suggestion. Ultimately, it's just writing on the article that this article was contributed by someone else. The problem with these solutions is that none of these really modify the author schema. Now, don't get scared. Schema sounds technical. It means code, but we're not going to have any code-based solutions or anything like that presented. It's actually a lot easier than that, and something that's quite fundamental to the way we set up our sites and our author profiles. What's important to note, though, is what Google sees is different to what you see as a reader, as a user of a website. As a user of a website, you'll be familiar with probably seeing the author's name at the top or bottom of the article. In some cases, it might say something as logical as Ashley Pierce. In others, it might say Future State Media, which then leaves you the question of, like, who is the author? Because that's not a name of a person, it's a brand. And that's what you see. What Google actually sees is standard structured data, something that it can compare from one website to another, and that's schema. And schema is easily read by Google and represented on the page by things like having by Ashley Pierce. But underneath that is a whole link to an author profile and a list of profiles that define who that person is in the eyes of the internet. The solution isn't technically difficult to resolve in this, and you don't need to give the guest author access to your website. So dealing with those two potential objections, not a technical solution, and we're not going to compromise the security of your website by giving somebody else access. You just need to fill in some information in WordPress, basically, which you'll need to get from the guest author, but ultimately we're filling in boxes that already exist. And have been generated by your SEO plugins such as Yoast SEO or Rank Math. First things first, you'll create an author user. Now, the username you use for that author user should be something logical, like their name with a dash in the middle. This is because it will be used as the URL for their author profile on your website, or the author page on your website. So, for instance, if the person was Jane Smith, Jane Smith as a username would yield a URL of their author page of futurestatemedia.com/author/Jane Smith. If you add then the guest author's email address that they also use on their website to the email box, that's important. If you don't have that email address yet, don't panic. Just use one of your own email addresses. It doesn't even need to be a real email address. For the creation of the user for now. Of course, fill in the first and last name, untick the send user notification. So they won't, even if you filled in their correct email, they won't even know that they've had a profile created on your website, the username associated with it, or the password. And fundamentally, what we also want to then select is the role author from the drop-down list. So typically this will be set to something like default user role subscriber, and that's for safety and security purposes. You'll have an administrator level role access to the website, and this one is just going to be an author role on the website, and that allows you to create a new author profile. Information you need from your guest author. So for example, some profiles here: Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, LinkedIn, all personal profiles, not business profiles, because we're trying to represent a person in this instance, not an organization. We also want the author page URL from their website. So I was talking about futurestatemedia.com/author/Jane Smith. That would be the URL that we'd want to drag across and put into the website box. We want their email address they use on their website. We want their Gravatar profile, and we want an author bio. Other profiles you could include a Wikidata page, Amazon or Goodreads profile. That would be they would have one of those if they've published an ebook or Kindle book on Amazon. YouTube channel if they've got a personal YouTube channel, TikTok. This isn't an exhaustive or an extensive list, but gives you an example. Now, Yoast provides you with a list of profiles, as you can see from the screenshot on the right hand side there, a list of profiles that you could use. It's fair to say it doesn't matter what you put in the boxes next to these. These are just suggestions. The eagle-eyed of you will notice that in my MySpace profile URL, I've actually got my Gravatar profile URL in there. This doesn't get represented on the front end of the site with MySpace next to it. It's literally just a list of profiles. So yeah, don't panic about filling those in. The only one that is specific is the Twitter one, because you just fill in the username and it fills in the rest. So you fill all those bits and pieces in. And this information should all align with the information that the guest author has on their website. Now, if they haven't filled in the author information on their website, that doesn't mean you shouldn't. So you should go and grab this information and put it on there, and actually just send them this video and say, look, you need to fill this information in, because that would do them a favor in terms of their SEO. And I probably will do another video on going a bit more in depth on how you do this for yourself, because there's probably a little bit more to it than just this. Now, I've starred the Gravatar profile URL as there because I want to come on to that. Because what about the profile image? You might have noticed that underneath the profile image, it says you can change your profile picture on Gravatar. This profile image is controlled on your Gravatar account. What is Gravatar? So just in case you'd missed it, a Gravatar is a globally recognized avatar. You upload an image and create your public profile just once, and then when you participate in any Gravatar-enabled site, your Gravatar image and public profile will automatically follow you there. So you'll be familiar with the idea that if you've ever commented on another WordPress site and you put in your email address that's associated with your website or your Gravatar account, it will pull through your profile image. And that's because underneath all of it, you have a WordPress.com account. And yes, I know you're probably self-hosting your WordPress website, but Automatic, the guys behind WordPress, WooCommerce, Gravatar, etc., they have it so that you have a single account to access all of those things. So you'll more than likely already have a Gravatar account, because it would have been created when you created your WordPress.com login, which you might have already created because you participated in a WordPress.org support forum discussion. And there could be a bunch of other reasons as to why you've ended up with one of those accounts. If you don't know your Gravatar account or their Gravatar account, go and have a dig around, and you might well be able to find it. If they haven't got it, set one up, and make sure that that profile URL is grabbed and put into the list of URLs. But importantly, it's the email address that's associated with that Gravatar account and their website that you need to grab hold of and put into the email section of this page to make sure that profile image comes through with it as well. The thing that I love about Gravatar is that, the way it pulls everything together, is you can also associate your accounts in your Gravatar account as well. So you can associate a Gravatar account with your Instagram, Twitter, your website. So it really cross-references everything and makes it like doubly certain to whatever bot is crawling your website. Oh, right, this is a real person and they have a deep interconnection with the web. Therefore, there's a level of credibility that comes from the fact that this person is a real person. And yeah, that's just my recommendation. Why bother with all this effort? And when I say all that effort with a bit tongue-in-cheek, in that it's not that difficult. And we're grabbing some information from the guest post author. And that information is just a list of social profiles and their bio, and we're popping it into an author profile within the website. Well, it all kind of boils down to the fact that EEAT is a massive part of what we're trying to establish at a foundational level with our websites and with the authors behind our websites. And our websites and our authors are evaluated in two separate ways, in using if you believe some of the stuff that comes out of Google with two separate algorithms. I'm old enough to remember authorship and Google Plus, and how that was a massive thing at one point, and then Google deprecated it and ultimately relies entirely on schema and their algorithms to understand who the author is and how to apply the credibility and the associations they need between the various properties and profiles. So it's a key part of establishing EEAT. Now, just to be certain about that, and so nobody's misinterpreting what I'm saying, this is EEAT is far more than just filling in your author profiles to show that you're a real person. There are ways in which you can build that up, and that's another topic altogether. But this is a fundamental part of it. So yeah, clearly telling Google who wrote the article is of great benefit to you and your guest post author, because the post will get borrowed, it'll borrow the credibility and authority of the author behind the article, and also in combination with your domain and your website credibility and authority, put you in a position to rank that piece of content. So it's a team effort, and this is how you make it as powerful a team effort as possible. And in fact, the other, not to make anyone too paranoid, but if you don't do it this way and follow my advice here, and you follow the advice that was mentioned earlier, where we just mentioned it was written by somebody else on the front end, you could actually be going against the Google guidelines, in that Google wants the schema that it sees to align with what's being said to the users. And if you're writing on the front end that this was written by somebody else, and then the schema is saying, actually, it was written by you, because that schema is automatically generated and applied to every post and page based on the author you select in the drop down on the right hand side when you're publishing a post. You could be trying what's a term to trying to be misleading to Google. Now, if they're doing this on a couple of pages, I don't think this is going. I just don't feel like this is something that Google's going to really bother their little mind about. But ultimately, it is going against Google guidelines, and actually doing it at scale is probably where and doing something that looks a bit fishy is probably what would gain the attention of Google looking at this in more detail. But in essence, this is so easy to color between the lines and do it properly. There's no reason why you shouldn't just go ahead and do it properly. So, but yeah, for those who think, oh, I'll just carry on doing it how I'm doing, actually, let's review that approach, and actually maybe there's a better approach you can take there. Bigger picture, ultimately building out author profiles is a much bigger endeavor than just adding social media links to your WordPress website, and building out the author profile is such a big endeavor, and that's something that I'll probably go into in another video just to kind of really explain that in a little bit more depth. So this is just the beginning, and it's a fundamental, but there's no point in doing all this other stuff unless you're going to do the basics and set up these author profiles properly. So that was it, setting up guest post authors properly in WordPress to avoid those hidden mistakes that get hidden by the schema. Hopefully that was useful for you. And if you felt like this is something that somebody else needs to listen to or hear, please do go ahead and share. Of course, hit the like button if you enjoyed it. If this is the kind of content that you feel like you could really benefit from to get your SEO, health and fitness up for your website, then go ahead and subscribe, because this is the type of stuff that we're going to be producing. It's very digestible, it's very actionable, and also baked in a bit of the principles and philosophy and understanding of search engines into it underneath. You don't need to know the inner workings, but that's where we come in, and we can provide that bridge between the technicalities and the technical, and the actionable outcomes that you want to take from that. So yeah, if you have any questions, or if you don't feel I've covered something, I know a lot of you use rank math. I use rank math extensively on a number of my sites, but ultimately it's the same process. I've just taken screenshots from a site that's using Yoast. But yeah, if you have any questions, or you're struggling with something, please do go ahead and comment. If you've completed the actions within the video and you'd like us to double check it or verify it, I'm more than happy to take a look for absolutely free of charge. Just email me, ashley@futurestatemedia.com, and we'll queue that up for a review and take a look at things. But yeah, for now, that's it. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll catch you next time.